Until you don't know the skill of expression, you'll not be able to impress someone. Communication is something that you need, that's the source of your expression. And English language is just the medium, that's the language. Record yourself and be your own self critique. Right path is a consequence of a lot of wrong paths traveled.
Shivangi, welcome to Techfluence Season 4.
Thank you so much.
What beyond what I have said is Shivangi?
Well, Shivangi is someone who would probably want to not just be successful by doing one odd or one even job in life, but would want to try everything. And yes, I'm someone who believes that it's all right to be a jack of all trades and then realize which one would be your calling. So I'm like that.
Great, great. Shivangi, you have been dealing with tech professionals, you have been dealing with professionals who have been there in the industry and students at early start. What is the advice that you would want to give them when it comes to communication skill? What is some common mistakes that students do?
I think the first mistake that people think is that when you pursue a specialization in anything in life, you think that it's your bread and butter. Well, yes, that will get you bread and butter in life, but you need to understand that until you don't know the skill of expression, you'll not be able to impress someone. So
Correct.
expression is the first thing that helps you to impress someone. And what would you impress? What would you use to, maybe let's say if I want to impress someone with my good work, of course you will need your specialization. Let's say
Correct.
I'm a data scientist, or let's say I'm a Java expert, I'm a Power BI expert. Everything is great, but in order to express your work, you need communication. So it's not an optional thing that people can pick it up as an a la carte option and keep it on their plates. It's not like that. It's a blend. And the first thing why I mean the first mistake that I think people make is that they consider this to be an optional thing or something which is probably seasonal in nature.
A lot of students, when come to university and even in schools, I would say, they say English is something easy. They take that English paper easy. ये तो हो जाएगा, ये तो ऐसे कर लेंगे, ये ऐसे हो जाएगा. But when it comes to that interview, when it comes to talking to people, they falter a lot. How does the students need to approach English as a language with respect to communication skills? Because that's the primary language being used in tech and every industry. So how do they need to approach to learn English?
Well, first we need to understand the difference between communication and English language. Communication is something that you need, that's the source of your expression, number one. And English language is just the medium, that's the language. Now we need to be very clear whether you want to learn language, you want to learn communication, or you want to learn English communication. Communication is separate. You need to understand when to state your point, how to state it, ऐसा बोलना कि सामने वाले को बुरा ना लगे, say no in such a way where the person doesn't feel offended with your no. And there are so many things, right? That's a separate story. Now when I talk about language, English being a primary language because it acquired the title of the business language.
Correct.
Why? Because we all need uniformity in the world. When we all need uniformity in the world, we need one language to communicate. Now, if I talk about LPU, you have students coming from Nigeria, you have students coming from Russia, you have students coming from different states and countries. You need one language, you need a place so that everybody comes together. So let's consider English language as a way of building rapport in the world of business. Just don't feel that people would insult you or you would probably feel insulted. I mean, we don't have any self-respect right now. Come on. We have to create that. We have to create our own self-esteems. What self-respect do we talk about? कि मतलब हमारी बेइज्जती हो जाएगी. The first question is कि ऐसी कौन सी इज्जत हमने बना ली जो जिस बेइज्जती के पीछे हम इतना ज़्यादा probably bother कर रहे हैं, इतना ज़्यादा हम परेशान हो रहे हैं.
Now, having said, having also distinguished between learning a language and learning communication, this is the next part where I wanted to come. Students do not express themselves in a proper manner. Most of the time, they are struggling with how to express their problems. They are not able to communicate what they actually need to grow. How do they need to prepare for themselves so that putting out a problem does not seem a big task for them? It's just like a regular thing, coming and talking and say, hi, this is my problem, what the university can do to help me.
Okay. With the kind of change in the learning styles of our learners of today's generation, the teaching sessions, or let's say the teaching pedagogies or the teaching mechanisms have changed. The generations are not like back then when you used to ask people to come and do this, and they would very respectfully do that. Now
Correct.
in college, you would see people not doing things what you ask. Am I
Correct.
right?
Absolutely.
Now, when this is the generation, you need to understand that the kind of practices or the kind of activities that you would create for them or the students would create for themselves, they have to be little exclusive. Learning never happens when you tell me that, Shivangi, come, let's learn a topic. Learning will never happen in such a way.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we all say that, you know, what we have learned in schools, those learnings are not very practical. Schools never taught us finance. School never taught us communication. It's because there the learning has an agenda. And I was made to sit. Come, Shivangi, sit. This is your English class. Today we'll talk about Birbal, and today we are going to talk about Shakuntala and whatnot. So when you are made to sit at a place and made to learn, probably learning wouldn't be that practical.
Okay.
And that's the reason people want to learn in those four open, I would say 4 open walls. And maybe a box, when it gets opened, it becomes like a 4 open wall place. So I would rather say that, you know, maybe very, very traditional way, but record yourself.
Okay.
Record yourself. Record yourself and be your own self-critique. The first thing that comes to your mind probably now would be that I don't like my voice. When I listen to my voice, I feel very bad. Am I right or wrong? I mean, as a content creator, I feel that so. But over a period of time, you'll start loving that. Now, when I started creating content, I think I polished myself even more. When you start recording, you get to see, you get to reflect. No matter how many courses you join, no matter how many places you go, nobody can teach you communication. If you really want to learn, you would have to make an attempt and effort to do something. Recording video is the first thing. Second, as college, maybe you can have some forums like, let's say, some controversial debates around some political topics. I'm sure you do all of these things.
We do that.
Why do we do it? Because those are fun places where people can speak.
Correct.
Now, one very important thing that we all need to understand from the standpoint of communication is not just about delivering something. It's also about the content. How is trainable? What is never trainable? And in order to train on your how, we have so many things like body language, tone, this, that, which probably is a long subject of
Correct.
conversation. Content is just the role play of the words that you use.
Okay.
So it's like that.
Now, coming to your entrepreneurial journey, this is something which was intellectual. How you call yourself an accidental entrepreneur, and you know when that entrepreneurship journey started, how did it start? Where did it take you initial years? What were the challenges that came through, and what are the challenges that you're facing now after leading a successful startup?
I always say that dhanda doesn't need a degree. And I think I'm a product of that. Accidentally, I got into a wrong subject. Incidentally, I got into a wrong field, like during my 11th, 12th. And I felt my life to be a messed up place. All I have learned from my parents, especially my mother, is that आप कचरे को भी बेचोगे, अगर आपके पास बेचने का स्किल है तो इंसान कचरा भी लेगा. And I remember I used to go with my mother to a place and we used to buy a lot of fabric. So she has been running her boutique. She used to get that fabric for a real time cheap price, let's say 50 rupees per meter, even less than that. And then she used to put that material or like a fabric, that particular fabric into a beautiful dress and she used to sell it for 6,000. And I've seen her at her boutique. So मुझे ऐसा लगता था कि कूड़े को भी बेच दिया ना तो मतलब हो जाता है, कूड़ा भी लोग ले लेता है. It's just that you need the right skill. So that's where my entrepreneurial journey started कि कोई भी चीज़ जो मैंने रास्ते में देखी और मुझे लगता है that I have a prospective buyer for it, I used to buy it. And this could be like buying a couple of footwears for my masis, chachis and this, and then I get it and then I used to add a little commission onto it. And so, you know, I started with all that. Like I started my entrepreneurship journey with my own customers in-house. So I had a knack of probably hunting things. I used to go out, used to look at good material and then bring home and then used to find out कि किसे बेचा जाए. And similarly, when I started getting there, of course, you all need a professional journey to be in place. You all need a decent career option. So I had only one thing with me, which was communication.
Okay.
And nothing else, because I didn't get into BCom, I didn't get into MBA, and I always felt कि admission नहीं हो पाया. So being a Delhiite, if you don't get into North Campus, you probably have not done anything in your life. And if you don't get into DU, probably you have to hang yourself on the ceiling. I'm telling you honestly. So somehow I was not able to get admission in North Campus, so I took admission in South Campus with a basic decent course of English honors. Again, that was my choice, but I didn't study the choice of subject before, and I just opted for it randomly. Within 3 weeks of my session, I was not able to cope with the subject, and I said that I'm not going to do this, and this is not going to make me an entrepreneur ever in my life. So I decided to quit that, and then I started gatecrashing a lot of companies around my college. It was a typical Delhi area, like Kalkaji extension. So we had a lot of cubicles and very shady offices. And I remember I used to go and say, hey, are you looking forward for trainer? I got to see from your Naukri page that you're looking forward for some trainer. I have so-and-so things. And legit, I did it. I mean, if you probably think that this sounds so odd, today sitting here also makes me feel odd that how come I did all of that, but I did that. So nothing helped at that time, but those interviews, great gate crashing, making phone calls, that made me probably who I am today. And every phone call was a set of rejection because I was too young to be offered a job at a company where I train employees who are probably 5 years, 7 years, 10 years elder to me. But I had a very, I would say, an impractical approach to life. And I said, nahi, mujhe karna to yahi. I want to become a corporate trainer. I'm not going to go to job. I'm going to go to office in my 3-piece, in my Creta, with a diamond ring in my hand. Everything that I legit envisioned, I knew that I have to live that life. Probably with God's grace, I'm here today, and I think it's all sheer blessings of God that I'm here. Of course, my hard work, not very directional hard work, I would say. I was working hard, but into multiple directions, and sometimes it's okay to work mindlessly, being directionless. You'll automatically get directions in life.
Great. The approach was fantastic, and you started, probably your mother would look at this and say, you should not have revealed a lot of secrets. But then you have put it out in the right fashion that when you have to do it, you have to find ways, you have to say. And to put it out there is very important, and how you put it out there for people to have it is another way of looking at it.
Absolutely.
Now, having run the business, you said that you started, you did not know how to start, but you just started with the goal in mind. How much it is important to follow a right path? Or is it okay, as you said, you can tread different paths and reach to it, but try every path, whichever makes you successful, that would come your way?
I think there's no right path in life. A right path is a consequence of a lot of wrong paths traveled. So there's no right path which is actually created that if you join IIM, you will definitely get a job. I deny that. I absolutely deny that. So there is no right path. As long as you don't travel, that is wrong. But if you are walking, whether here or there or directionless or mindlessly whatsoever, or blindly sometimes, it's okay. Movement is more important than finding right or wrong. As long as you're moving, your heartbeat goes up and down, you're alive. The moment it goes stable, you're dead. Correct. So don't get to that dead zone, probably be in the momentum, and I think you will go somewhere, you'll reach somewhere.